Hey, Pastor Al here. Thanks for joining me once again this Wednesday. It is time for our encouraging word once again, and we find ourselves in the book of Luke. And sometimes in our life we have things that are going on for us that can be difficult, and it can be health issues, it can be financial, it can be just circumstances that we find ourselves in, the cares of the world, kind of like the thorny ground in the parable of the seed and the sower, and where it kind of chokes the life out of us, and things are tough sometimes, and it's tough sometimes just to really put our trust in God when the things around us don't look like we want them to look. And that's just a fair statement in a human way, that we feel like God needs to honor us and make things come out the way we want them to, rather than trust Him with wherever we're at. But it's ironic sometimes, and some people have probably experienced this as well as me, is that when things are going really, really good, it's sometimes hard to put our trust in God every day. If things are going really good, we get this idea that maybe we don't necessarily need His help. Things are going so great, He can kind of take a back seat for a little bit, and we're fine with life. Life is good. We're healthy. Finances are okay, and people around us aren't giving us any problems. So we feel like just having the status quo and doing well, we don't need Christ. And so there's a story in the book of Luke about some men who things were going really, really good for them, who found themselves trusting Jesus. And it comes from the book of Luke chapter 5. It's the story of the call of the fishermen, the first four disciples, Andrew, Peter, James, and John, as they're on the Sea of Galilee. And they are fixing their nets by the seashore. Jesus is teaching the crowd by the seashore. The crowd is pressing him, so he convinces Peter to push out a little bit from shore with him in the boat so he can continue to teach. And after he's done teaching and dismisses the people, he says to Peter, in verse number 4, "Launch out into the deep for a catch." Now Peter, being a seasoned fisherman, knew the best time to catch fish on the Sea of Galilee was at night, and that they've been toiling all night. It says that in verse number 5, that, "Hey, Master, we've been toiling all night, but even at your word I'll let down the net." So they've been out all night. They haven't slept. They've been listening to Jesus teach, and they know they need to go out the next night and fish some more. So they really want to get some rest, but Jesus says, "I want you to cast out for a catch." Now, what Jesus must have been saying during that time that Peter was listening with him in the boat must have so encouraged Peter and so convinced him of Jesus' authority that Peter said, "Nevertheless, because you say so, I will." And it says in verse number 6, when they had done this, they caught a great number of fish, and their net was breaking. And so then they called to the other boat, their partners, James and John, and they called to them, and they began to fill the boats with the fish that they had caught, and both boats began to sink. Now, these aren't small boats, these are bigger boats that are on the Sea of Galilee. You'd never get a small boat to make it on those waves and some of those things that happen there. So these are bigger boats, but they're both beginning to sink because of the multitude of fish. When they get to shore, Simon, or Peter, says to Jesus, "Depart from me, I'm a sinful man." Peter doesn't get Jesus to respond to that statement, but instead Jesus says this, "Do not be afraid, Simon. From now on you will catch men." And the biggest verse in this story is verse number 11. Verse number 11. "And they brought their boats to land, they forsook all and followed him." At this point, they had had the best day on the Sea of Galilee they were ever going to have. They had fish in abundance. They didn't need to go fishing probably the next night or 2 nights because of the catch and the multitude of fish. Even the lines were breaking and the boats were sinking. So there was very little reason to trust Jesus anymore because things were going so well for them. But it seems ironic that Jesus, when times are going best, then he calls them and says, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And a great statement in verse 11, "So they forsook all." And imagine what would have happened had Andrew, Peter, James, and John said to Jesus, "You know what? Hey, things are going really well today. We're okay. We're okay. Come back a different day. Maybe we'll follow you." We don't know how the stories of the Bible might have changed had they said no, but what convinced them that Jesus was the Son of God was enough to convince them to forsake everything. So in our lives today, remember, even when things are going really, really good, it's a great day to trust Jesus because he calls us to give everything to him so that he can lead us. And when he leads us, guess what? He puts his will in us, and he makes us the people that we need to be for him. And guess what? The story for our lives has yet to be written in completion. May you find that encouragement today. And as always, have a great day in Jesus.